Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, wherever you are. Thank you very much for tuning in to round number 3 of the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series. Here we are at Zolder. Fantastic circuit, an interesting circuit. And again, one of the first circuits that I believe, this is one of the first combinations that I will see here, actually, the Radicals at Zolder. This is certainly a new one for me. My name is Daniel Handover, and joining me in the commentary box this evening is the wonderful, fantastic Ewan O'Leary. Ewan, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, doing very well. Looking forward to another week of radical action here at Zolder. It wasn't on the calendar last season, so I didn't get to see it this last time out, but I will be able to this time around. We all will enjoy it together, hopefully. And we were speaking to some of the drivers, obviously, after the last round that we had at Road America. We were mentioning about these curbs, how difficult they're going to be, staying off them, and the fact that the Radical doesn't really like them. So that is going to be interesting to see how they tackle those, because it is all about curbs here.
It is very, very true. As you say, curbs are key. Curbs are very, very important. And how you approach the curbs is a very interesting thing, because the last thing you want to do is to, I suppose, it's always that tricky thing, isn't it? Where if you go into the corner possibly a little bit too, you're going to lose a lot of time if you don't use all of the curbs. But then if you use a little bit too much, then it will cost you even more time. And it's one of those where I feel it's always that it's a halfway house depending on what you do. Everyone's got their own different way of trying something. At the same time, we just need to make sure that obviously for the individual that works out. And we're going to see this going through in qualified. More importantly, though, we are going to see this in the race. It's going to be a very, very tell sign of who is confident with these cars over these curves, because there's going to be some pretty big gaps after the second or third lap with with drivers being able to use as much of the curb as they possibly can.
You'd imagine so. This field is going to stretch out quite quickly early on in this race, you would imagine. But hopefully we do see some battles up towards the front. I'm hoping for a bit of a battle for the race lead here today. That's something we haven't really seen too much of so far this season, especially not at Road America. John McCutcheon was absolutely flying and ran away with it, really. Mainly down to, of course, a free car incident at the first turn involving this man here, Simon Edwards. We'll see if there's a bit more of a lead battle going on this time around. Hopefully there will be, but you never really know. I do find that this circuit is a little bit difficult to overtake, really. So I feel like these cars are fairly quick, obviously quite light, not very large braking zones, not a very wide track either. It might be a bit of a follow the leader situation for a little bit of this race, but then again, a circuit like this is very prone to mistakes. Everybody is, so that could then again throw things up as well.
Again, very, very true. Lots of things are going to happen. We know. I always think that it's very much as you said there, Ewan. Look, we see someone who was getting very, very aggressively over the curves there. He's currently set the purple sectors at the moment, although Kevin Budgeon just set a purple sector in sector 1. I know what you mean about the overtaking here. Can be a little bit tricky, even though that they're all very, very heavy braking zones here. We do see that it can be quite tricky to overtake in some cars, especially with these cars, yes, being so fast. They are quick cars. They can carry a lot of corner speed, and they can brake so late. It's some of the problems you would have with some of the higher Formula cars, Formula 1 in recent years. The cars, you can brake so late, it's very, very tricky to be able to overtake in some braking zones. You've got to be very, very committed. Simon Edwards goes through. He's going to set the benchmark time at the moment. And he is actually one of the first people that is going to set a lap time. And that time is a 1:23.21. We've got Kevin Budgeon in P2. There he set the first lap time for him at the moment. Paul Crabb then slots into P2, tenths behind. This is the important one, though. This is Mr. John Hutchinson. He dominated and has dominated for the last 2 rounds. Is it going to be the same here? He wasn't actually supposed to be at the last round. He was supposed to be actually away on holiday, but unfortunately COVID sorted that. So he is now back behind the wheel. Mike Buston, we've seen times flying in now. Ooh. Wow, very, very close. Simon Evans is still pole position with that 23.21. Mike Buston, though, with the 23.60. Darrell Taylor in there with the 23.9. So the top 3, the only drivers currently in those 23 seconds. Paul Crabb, ever so close, though. Ever so close. He is currently 24.09. That was his first lap. You can see on the left-hand side now all of the lap times. Pat Seymour goes into P12. We've got a 23, 24 car grid this time. So a fantastic, really, really large grid, which is fantastic to see. It's great to be able to see all these cars. And again, that's going to mean for even better racing, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Absolutely, it will be good to see all of the cars out here and racing. Hopefully, getting through the first few laps cleanly, so we can have a nice race onward from that. Because, as I mentioned a brief moment ago, that 3-car incident into turn 1 last week really did dilute, especially for the race for the actual lead. So hopefully we don't see that again. But then again, John McCutcheon could put it out of reach of everybody here in these next 10 minutes, or over these next 3 laps, I should say. Did have a big moment through turn 1, actually. Had to actually lock up the brakes and straighten the car out quite nicely to save himself from going around completely. So this is not going to set the world on fire, you wouldn't imagine, unless he really has pulled something out the bag here. But he will be going again, and we saw time and again last season, the longer you go on in these qualifying sessions, the more laps you do, the faster you get.
Indeed, yes, absolutely, very, very true. Darrell Taylor for the Epicuri Banana car, another very striking livery. Simon Edwards has actually got a little bit fast. I've just noticed he's nearly into the 22s. So Darrell Taylor currently sitting in P3 overall, just touching those curbs there. He set a purple sector in Sector 4 last lap, seen a lot more purples come through. Martin Booker has set a couple of purples as well. Simon Edwards is still setting more purple lap time, so it's going to be, again, very, very close at the front of the field. It's very close all throughout the field as well. Austin Greterex from the Porsche Sport number 25. Obviously, currently not running in a Porsche, obviously. I've known Austin for a while. Very, very quick. I've seen him on the racetrack several times. Very, very quick driver. Very quick driver. So it'll be interesting to see how Austin does for his first outing here. 131.2 currently. Simon Edwards, there we go. There is the 22 that you see, the 22.6. Martin Booker was pole position for a brief moment as he goes with a 22.82, and then Paul Crabb P3 with a 22.92. So that is both Simon Edwards and Martin Booker's final laps. That is it, them done and dusted. John Hutchison is the person to watch out for here, remember, and John goes into P8. He has one more lap to go. That will be John Hutchison's time. So he's got a little bit further up the field. He's P8, but he's only half a second behind. So again, just shows you how close the front of this field is. Dave Kirkman currently sitting in P14, actually now moved into P15 as Dom Lang-Webb goes up into P11. This is also Dave Kirkman's... Actually, no, that Dave Kirkman will not be recorded on this lap. So Dave Kirkman has to settle for P15 provisionally. That may very well go down a little bit further. Richard Brown goes up into P12. That was his final lap as well, so he'll just be running a few more laps just to get a little bit more practice in, and why would you not at the end of the day if you're able to? Certainly something that I wouldn't complain about. If you've got some more time to run, then obviously absolutely do so. Sergio Martinez de la Cruz goes down for his final lap, and he slots up into P9 just behind John Hutchison. Darrell Taylor, he's again just running some laps at the most, so he's dropped down into P7. It shows how quickly it can change, can't it? Because last time we saw Darrell Taylor, he was up in P3. He's now got 6 cars in front of him as he now goes down into the pits. I'm noticing John Hutchison, no purple lap times have been set for his final lap. Does he improve? He does. He does improve, but a 22.92. So for the first time this season, John Hutchison not on the front row. Interesting stuff. Only 2/10 behind, but mine has actually matched the time to Paul Crabb by, what's that, 5 thousandths of a second, 6 thousandths of a second. It's not really a lot in it, but still, position is a position.
It is, but I still don't think that's too concerning to McCutcheon around here, despite what I said earlier about track position and the difficulty of overtaking around here. I do feel like his relentless race pace will pay him well in these laps. I mean, it's very close at the moment in these standings. Look, 0.7 of a second covering the top 9, which is a lot closer than what we've seen in previous weeks. John McCutcheon took pole by nearly that amount, last time out. So, it's very close here today, which is good to see. And all the big names are there. So it is going to be a very good race. I think Sergio Cruz is going to be a little bit disappointed as well, actually, with his qualifying performance, because he's the only driver other than John McCutcheon to have been in the top 5 both times in the 2 races so far. It's put him second place in the championship, which is slightly overperforming compared to where he was last season. So he'll be delighted with that, but maybe not so delighted with 9th on the grid, even though it's not a terrible qualifying performance by any means. He is still right in the mix, and as I say, all of those top 9 drivers, very realistic race winners, at least podium sitters at the end of this race.
Well, like I said, we haven't got too much longer. In fact, I think actually this is it. So Ray Peasy will be just running to the end of this qualifying session, which will be 10 minutes, another 20 seconds or so, and then we will be going into the race. Not 100% sure on the amount of laps that we are going to be going through, but again, it'll be around of a 25-minute race, so it certainly won't be long. Which does raise a question again, what do we have in terms of, as we mentioned, track position is key. The start is going to be very key as well. Who is going to get the best start? There we go. You can see on your screen now, qualifying has ended. So as we go into the race, we'll bring your grid up in a few moments' time. And in fact, here is the grid here. So Simon Edwards does take that provisional, actual pole position with a 22.698. 10th behind Martin Booker. Then we have Jobert Hutchison, Paul Crabb, Mike Busson, Graham Brown, Paul Clark, Darrell Taylor, Sergio Cruz, Austin Greterex manages a P10, Kevin Budgeon, and then Colin Wynn in P12. Third down, P13, Richard Brown, then Dom Lang-Webb in 14th, Michael LeMay 15th, Dave Kirkman 16th, Graham Brown, Pat Seaborn, Dave Rolliston, Phil Jocelyn, Dave Dowson P21st, P21, Ray Peasy in 22nd, Tim Adcock 23rd, and then Guy Robertson not setting a lap time in P24. That is your grid for round number 3 here. I am very, very excited to get going. And I'm very, very excited as well because it's interesting here. This is, again, 24 cars will be starting this race. And we've got a fair run down into turn 1. It's not the biggest run that we've got on the calendar, but it's a very fast corner here. So we may see people trying to use and trying to get the tyres up to temperature a little bit too fast. It's a very, very fine balance here because these cars can be very sketchy on cold tyres. Any one of the drivers will tell you that. So you've got to be cautious on the start, but at the same time, if you're too cautious, you will lose positions. It's going to be a very, very interesting first few corners. As long as everyone keeps their car in check, they will be okay. But it's very, very easy to overdrive these cars at the start.
Yeah, easier said than done to keep the tyres under control. Here come the lights, though.
Indeed, lights come on. Who is going to be the start? Here we go, lights out, and off we go. Someone's already spun. It's only been about 7 feet. And we've already had an incident there. Couldn't quite see who that was. I think it was Richard Brown, actually. Everyone goes single file. There's a couple of people that have gone off a little bit. There's a couple of issues we're seeing, I think, with a little bit of internet issues. Although Simon Edwards, Martin Booker, John Hutchinson all stay. The top 3 positions have not changed. Colin Wynn and Kevin Budgeon have both gone off. Yes, 2 instances for them. I imagine that they have taken each other off with the fact that where they are out on circuit. But now coming down, single file, a little bit of move I thought, but no, everyone just slotting into single file now. Going through the first chicane, probably the wisest move there to do. John Hutchison has pulled a bit of a gap to Mike Busson, half a second. He hasn't dropped the guys up front too much. And my Simon Edward needs to try and pull away here, but he hasn't quite done that. John Hutchison goes a bit wide. That's allowed Martin Busson to catch up, and that has dropped back almost a second. So Simon Edwards and Martin Booker are checking out at the moment, but Hutchinson is a bit of on his no man's land as it stands. Guy Robertson has already made up 5 positions since the start. Bear in mind he didn't set a qualifying time. So down into the hairpin for the first time he goes. Manages to keep it all in check, so he stays in P19 at the moment. Both Kevin Budgeon and Colin Wynn are both back out on circuit, I believe. Yes, they are. We're both just about to come out of pit lane. I think Dave Dowson has just been passed by Phil Jocelyn on that opener lap going into the final chicane. So there's some moves happening here. Might see Dave Dowson try and go back up the inside. Does he keep it? No, he can't quite carry the speed through. This may actually allow Guy Robertson to potentially make another position. He has a bit of a look, decides against it though. That's actually released Tim Adcock. And he might try and get a bit of the old cut back. 2.5 tenths is the gap. No moves here as it stands for both of those two. A little bit further up the field, Paul Crabb dies for a move up the inside, going down into the first chicane. Manages to get it in check. Good move, done and dusted. Very, very good, clean move there. And that's put him now into P4. So really, really, that was a very, very early move. Again, just get his tyres up to temperature a little bit faster. And that certainly made the difference there.
Get down the inside at the chicane at turn 5 there. Not something we see too often, but getting things done nicely actually down the inside there was Crabb. I mean, when we've spoken already about how difficult it is going to be to overtake around here, but when you do get pushed offline, like we saw with Peasley actually on the last lap as he goes wide again, trying to get back through on Jocelyn into the hairpin there. When you get pushed offline, you can start to see a lot of cars coming through all of a sudden. So when one comes through, it's difficult to stop. As then, oh dearie me, a little bit close between the two. Had to run across the gravel there, did Jocelyn, and he's going to lose a couple of places for his troubles. I think Dave Dowson might well get up the inside here and get through into turn 1, although nicely held around the outside from Jocelyn. He holds on to his place. But yeah, you've got to be careful not to get pushed offline here, like we're seeing with Graham Brown, that is, because all of a sudden you'll find a lot of cars going through when you're inside.
Certainly will. You've got to be very, very crucial here. We're now running on board with Martino de la Cruz side by side through the chicane. That would have cost all of them time. It might help de la Cruz here because he's going to have a bit of a look up the inside of Mike Busson into the second set of chicanes. I think it's going to be a late move. He tries to give it a go. I thought that was contact there. How close that would have been to contact. And actually, Mike Busson, I wonder if there was a bit of contact there, because Mike Busson did go a little bit wide. That has allowed Austin Gretorets to go through. He's making a fantastic move up the field. He's already in P7, having made up 3 positions, so he's averaged a position a lap. And he's continuing on with that move from Mike Busson. That would be continuing his streak there. A little bit, only a couple of positions down the order. We've got another battle going on. This is between Dave Kirkman, Darryl Taylor, Michael LeMay, Graham Brown trying to get involved as well. So a 4-way battle for P10. Actually, 4-way battle for P9 even, because you've got Paul Clark just got out of shot there. He's in P9. Again, it's still a big train. The gaps, while they have opened, they haven't opened as much as they thought they would. Interestingly enough, everyone still manages to go through lap 4 of 18 laps, bear in mind. So certainly not too much. Not too long that these drivers will be going forward here, but at the same time, it's still a fair ways to go with this circuit here. We've just got Simon Edwards putting in the fastest lap of the race at the front of the field, a 23.19. Interestingly enough, though, John Hutchison has found a little bit of pace. He's now brought that gap back down to only 8 tenths of a second. So this is the Hutchison that we are normally seeing, that just relentless pace continuing forward. This is what happened to Guy Robinson early on, actually just now in fact. So what happened to Guy Robertson here as we go through down into turn 2? Is it a little bit on the grass? No, actually just very, very well avoided there. I think it was Colin Wynn. That was very, very well avoided, but just a little bit too aggressive on that throttle. It's amazing, even though these cars they do have a relatively high amount of downforce, you've still got to be careful because it can go all very, very wrong very, very quickly. Now Taylor, once again, still trying to battle with Dave Kirkman, but Kirkman not letting him through. So still getting these battles, still ebbing and flowing as we normally see. Up the front, though, well, a little bit further up the front again, Austin Gretorets hounding the back of Martinez de la Cruz. This is a P6. Both of these drivers having made up 3 positions on this lap, so Austin Gretorets hasn't managed to maintain his streak of a position a lap. As he currently on lap 5 now, and he's still only made up those 3 positions. Top 4, though, have all stayed from the starting order. And I wonder, is Gretorets going to have a move around the outside? He's going to be brave to let it go. Martinez de la Cruz doesn't back off too much. Oh. Both go through. I mean, what a move through there.
I'm surprised they're both fit, to be honest. It's a very close chicane. It's a very tight chicane. And you don't often see side by side, never mind a move as Bousson tries to do it at the next one. And now their luck has run out, I'm afraid. There is contact. Poussin goes around. Sergio De La Cruz goes around as well. He's stuck in the middle of the road here as well. Doesn't really know whether to go forwards or backwards, and now finally gets out of the way. But yeah, it was a tight thing at the first chicane, turn 5. That look was going to run out eventually. Unfortunately, it did down at the very next chicane. They've made contact, and it has caused many problems for those behind those guys as well, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it has done. Let's have a look here. We can from the nose cone. There is the nose cone, and again, Paul Clark had nowhere to go, unfortunately. And as you say, luck did unfortunately run out. So De La Cruz actually has to come in the pits, as I'm sure a couple of other drivers will be as well. Paul Clark, though, one of the drivers that hasn't actually gone in the pits. So after all that, after that big shunt, he's still managing to keep going. So play indeed. That's something that got to commend the tough little car, that the iLounge Racing car. As you can see, the damage at the front. And that's Paul Crab going slow.
Crab. Yeah, Crab is going slowly for some reason, but yeah, Paul Clark has decided to persevere here, and it might. Oh dear, it's caused another incident, I'm afraid, with Darrell Taylor and Michael LeMay, both unfortunate victims of that one. Clark is still running here, but he is damaged, and it will be running a bit slower than usual. It got things. I think Pat Seaborn actually got things a bit wrong as well coming through that chicane. Let's see what happened to Crab though. It looks like he just almost drove off on his own here, and gets back on the road eventually. And then off it again, I think.
Whoa!
Into the wall. There we are. Little tap on the wall, but he got going again. The main incident was to come here at the next chicane. Unfortunately caused by Clark getting out of shape, and he's deciding to persevere with this one. Here he is, just getting things out of shape, and there Michael LeMay, unfortunate to clatter into the back of everybody there. There's just not enough time to react.
No, unfortunately, Paul Clark did the right thing. He held the brakes. And it's something you can do. If you just hold the brakes, you can lock the wheels up. Obviously, the car then isn't the tyres then aren't rotating, so the car is just going to slide in that general direction. And he released the brakes at the right time as well. It just unfortunately, people behind had nowhere to go. So big shame there. That may spice things up a little bit, as people may have to come into the pit, some people don't, so it could be anything like that. Again, we simply we really don't know at this point in time how damaged cars are, etc, etc. Martin Booker, I'll tell you what, he's being pressured. This is the Hudson that we normally see, isn't it? Well, normally we actually see him, we don't really see him at all. In all honesty, we normally see him miles up a length. And this is actually it's Simon Edwards' turn this time. He's now disappeared off into the distance, and he's still running, lap time very, very competitive, and still pulling away. The gap is 2.3 seconds that you can see on the interval on the left-hand side. Nearly halfway through this race, with 9 laps having gone. And yeah, John Hudson, gaps 4/10 of a second. There'll be a little bit of downforce drop-off at the moment, especially with these corners. You'll be feeling it a tiny amount. It won't be too much, but it'll be something you may notice. You have to be a bit more precise on your steering input. You've got to be a bit more precise on your turning point. So if you don't get it right, it can go a little bit. Wrong, but Hutchison knows how to run the car in dirty air, so he's managing it very well. A little bit aggressive over the curves for Martin Booker, but it seemed to help actually. He pulled about a 10th out of Hutchinson. I wonder if John's been a little bit more cautious on these curves. He looks it. Maybe not that one, but...
yeah, he said that, and then he goes monstering everyone. So it's difficult to know really at this stage how hard he's willing to push really, because let's not forget this is a third podium out of 3 here in this championship. How hard does he want to push to try and get through on Booker here? How important is it for him to get these points? Admittedly, it will be 4 points, which is quite significant really at this early stage. And he'll want to limit the amount of points he's losing to Simon Edwards. Obviously, looking like those two are going to be main rivals for this championship as it evolves. 29 between them at the moment. He won't want to lose 9 points of that advantage. He'll much rather 5, which what it would be for a first and second for the two of them. So I think he will definitely be pushing to try and get through on Martin Booker here. But how urgently is another question really. He might just let this race win go a little bit and take his time in that move for second. I say that as he makes that move. coming into turn 3.
Indeed he does. We're going to see a replay of that in a few moments' time. This is the battle I want to stick on with for a little bit, and it's just a 4-bay battle for P12, and it is between. This is Ray Peasley, Dave Dowson, Colin Wood, and Dave Rolliston. Mike Buston's actually getting involved there as well. And actually, I say that as we come to the as we come on camera, it seems to have come to the tail end of that actually. But that certainly looked like a good little battle between those 4 there. There's still a bit of a battle going on. There's a couple of tenths back, although Colin Wynn got a very, very slow exit going through turn 5. So as we come down at turn 4 even, sorry. So as we go down, gaps extend a little bit. This is, yeah, that's where the gaps really can extend. If you're brave on those curves, you can make up a surprising amount of time. We saw that from Colin Wynn. Whoa, that was a big moment. Oh, actually, who's gone off? Someone's gone off. Was that Daryl Tay? No, it wasn't, I think. That may have been Phil Jocelyn and Richard Brown. I think they both had coming together. Let's have a quick... Actually, no, Richard Brown had his own moment. Actually, let's see this as we go. Is it too much on the curb? Yeah, too much on the curb. What happened with Phil Jocelyn, though? So coming down into the second set of chicanes. I wonder if there's a bit of a lock-up on entry, perhaps. That's very fast. And, yeah, a little bit too fast in the entry. I mean, kudos for keeping it... for not going for a full spin. That's very, very impressive. This gap has come right back down, though, again. There's only about a second and a half separating all these 4 drivers. This is going to be a very, very interesting battle here. I do want to have a look at the pass that Hutchison made. Was it going... It was going into turn 4. It's a brave move, isn't it? And to be fair, Martin Booker accepted the move and didn't really defend all that much. You can see Simon Edwards still just up the road there. So he's still not that far away. And so that gap, as you mentioned, has gone from 9 points to 5. Let's just need to see, though, with these 8 laps to go, bear in mind, not too long, are we going to see this, are we going to see a potential battle? Depends how quickly John Hutchison can catch up, if he can catch up at all. Oh, that's a touch. That was a touch.
Oh, yeah. There certainly was contact, and yeah, off the road for Dave Dowson. Everybody's going to get through at him here. Let's not forget Mike Booston is at the back of this train, having had that incident earlier on, and he's just recovering at this stage, much like he was at Road America, actually. He spent 2 races in a row recovering now, trying to get through the back markers, or the back end of the field, I should say, as Dowson goes for a spin once again out of the hairpin there, and so drops even further. But yeah, Booston just does not want to be here, trying to get through the traffic as efficiently as possible. It is very, very difficult indeed. He's knocking on the door of a top 10 now, though, if he can get through on Wynn and Peasley, which he should be able to in the coming laps.
Sorry, I was midway through a drink of water when you passed it back to me. Sorry. Yes, indeed. I think we're going to see... Yeah, we haven't got very long left now, bear in mind. 7 laps left to go, so this battle is just going to get busier and busier. There's going to be no room for error here at all, because that's going to be a big position loss. Are we going to see Ray Peasley make a move? No, we might even see Mike Buston make a move. In fact, are we going to see Dave I thought Dave Robson was going to have a bit of a lunge there, because he had a very, very good run going out of the second chicane. That's someone that's gone off. Was that Kevin Budgeon? No, that wasn't Kevin Budgeon.
It was Peasley going off, and then Booston, in trying to get around him there, went off himself. So there was kind of a double thing going on there. And now Jocelyn's trying to take advantage of this. So Booston's already lost out to Rollison. And now it might well do to Jocelyn as well here. So this is what can happen when you get stuck in the pack. When you get pushed out wide, as I say, a load of cars can all of a sudden come through, and we're seeing it right now. Jocelyn, good straight line speed there, good braking performance on the outside line. He's got it good into the final chicane. That was very impressive.
Very, very impressive indeed. Are we going to... I think we might see Buston try and come back, though. Dives to the outside, then dives back to the inside. That, yeah, very, very clean move. All in all, a little bit too wide from Jocelyn, but he manages to hold it with the aero. Manages to keep the car in check and keep it going. This is a great battle that we're seeing here. Look at all the train of 5 cars here, bear in mind, pretty much. And that includes Phil Jocelyn, Mike Buston, Pat Seaborn, Guy Robertson, and then Daryl Taylor, who is there. In fact, I think that's... is that Michael LeMay as well? No, it's not Michael LeMay, so it is Taylor that's at the leading the rear end of this pack and this train. He's got a good run though. No, do you know what? I don't think he's got the straight line speed. I think he's got a bit of damage to the back of his car. He's got a bit of damage to the front of his car actually as well. So don't think he has got the straight line speed. That's someone that's gone off. Oh, big moment, big moment, big moment for Pat Seaborn. Pat Seaborn has had an incident. Was it a lock-up under brakes or was there contact?
It was with Bootham. I think there might have been contact. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you're right.
Well, not sure whether... Yeah, it looks like Seaborn just got into the back of Bootham really there, and they both went spinning around. Bootham in the end has gone back to the pit lane now. Don't think he's going to be emerging from the pitch for the rest of this race. He's had a pretty miserable last couple of weeks, really, and he will be disappointed with how it's gone, because his pace has shown that he can be right up there with the very front drivers, but his luck in these races not been fantastic. So he's been dropping down, involved in these battles that he doesn't want to be involved in, and he's got himself in a few more incidents than he would have liked. So yeah, unfortunately he has gone back to the pit lane now, but still plenty of drivers out here, still plenty of battles as well, mostly separated out into pairs now after this crazy train that we've been seeing almost all race.
Yeah, as you say, one of the so the battles. I mean, one of the pairs actually we've got. This is Dave Kirkman and Paul Crabb that have been battling for a few laps now. So Dave Kirkman has been up. He started P16. He's now in P6. I mean, you can't argue with that, can you? That's been absolutely incredible. That's been a really, really incredible amount of pace, and the positions that he's made up certainly can't complain at that one bit. But is he going to lose a position to Paul Crabb? Paul Crabb is really, really pushing at the moment. He's got the tow, he's got the slipstream, although he's not actually making up the positions. He's not able to pull that amount of time. Well, I thought he'd pull more time than that, but he didn't pull any time at all, in all honesty. So I don't really know.
Sorry, yeah, a little bit weird to see the run there into turn one, then just not going for it, but looks like he might give it a go here. Don't often see moves through turn 3 and 4, though. I know we saw McCutchinson go through here a few laps ago, but you don't often see it. Crabb did make a nice move into this chicane here not so long ago, so I wonder if he's going to repeat history there, but looks like he's biding his time. He knows that there's a 15-second gap up in front of Kirkman here, so there's no point in rushing this move at all.
That's true, and there's also a 5-second gap behind, so he has got a little bit of time. So there is time in that. There's not, he's, like I said, you've got to be careful. You've got, 4 laps to go, so it's not as if time is running out. But at the same time, yeah, you can pick and choose where your moves are. I definitely feel that Kirkman's got the faster car. Where he just seems to be running a much, much faster packing in a straight line. Have a look at this gap here. So it's 1.2. It gets to about, and then it just goes back up again. There's just nothing that Paul Crabb can do. So he has to dive it down into the brakes. He is faster through the corners. You can see how much time he's getting up. This is the inherent problem with someone like Zolder and a car that you can brake pretty late on is your braking zones. They're not that big at all. You can carry so much speed through these corners. Phil Jocelyn's had a bit of a moment. What's happening to Phil Jocelyn? That's a big, big moment there. Whereabouts is that? Is that coming down into the... That's not good. I can't see where that is, actually. That's coming out of the hairpin. Yeah,
the hairpin at turn 9 there. He's might well have been for a spin on his own, or indeed helped around, but Dave Dawson is going to want to bit. This might be... oh, no, it was in a side-by-side battle, but it looked like he just lost the rear on his own there. I think he's just about held on from Dave Dawson here. He's in the process of trying to do so around the outside of turn 1. Gives him the inside for the next turn. Dawson fighting his own car there, and Dawson's just about going to hold on after that mistake.
Indeed, yeah, that was very well held there by Dawson. Now moving back to this battle here between Kirkman and Crabb. There is a car behind as well. That is a back marker. I can't quite see who that is. That may be Pat Seaborn. That could very well be. I'm not entirely sure who that is as we go. This is it. Oh, I thought the move was there. I thought the move was on the cards. It still might be on the cards, actually, because Paul Crabb almost dummies Dave Kirkman into going a bit too deep into the corner. Very, very good move if you can manage it. But Dave Kirkman's got the speed. He's got the speed through. Last of the late breakers. It's going to be Dave Kirkman rushes in wide. But Paul Crabb's gone, no, I'm trying to keep that position. Ultimately doesn't make it. That was a move that took the best part of 3 or 4 corners and still wasn't successful. I imagine that Paul Crabb will be kicking himself through there. Although he does know, and he's upset Dave Kirkman a little bit. He goes very, very wide. Good save. Paul Crabbe should have the advantage here because he does have slightly more downforce. There we go. Drives around the outside. Kirkman can't do anything at this point. I don't think he's going to be all that fussed, though, because he knows he's got a faster car. So if he can get the run, he may just be able to sail past. Maybe not here, but this may have released Paul Crabbe. We won't know. We've got another couple of laps really to find out. We're going to have to see. Meanwhile, we've got a little bit of a battle going on here between Domhnall Webb and then Ray Peasley.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Paul Crabbe's going to set sail now, really. You saw the way he was applying the pressure to Kirkman for the last few laps. He did look quicker. Now that he's got that clean air to use the extra downforce he's got on that car, he should be able to get away. Kirkman has got the lower downforce, slightly lower downforce on that radical at the moment, which has obviously helped him in his defence. But he's going to do well to get through once more, as we see Darrell Taylor here making a move on Ray Peasley. Up the inside into this chicane, but not able to do anything into there. This kind of group is reforming again. Domhnall Webb looks like he's just got away, but in this battle for 13th, looks like we may have a bit of a train forming once more.
Yes, very, very true. We've only got a couple of laps to go, so this train may not be a train for very long. Although, as you mentioned, if Ray Peasley and Taylor if they can battle, and depending how hard and aggressively they battle, they may have. They said this battle may become a four-way train once again, although I think the gap is just a little bit too much. 2 more laps to go for these drivers here. You'll have Simon Evans, John Hutchinson, who have 1 more lap to go when they come across the line next time. Ray Peasley has to take the defensive line. This could open the door for Darrell Taylor. Nothing from Darrell Taylor, though. There is Taylor. Again, great looking livery. I really like that. Go through turn 3. It's good, isn't it? It's a very, very striking colour scheme, and it works. It really, really works. I like it.
I'm not sure I'm a fan myself, but I can see the attraction of the livery. It's I suppose. But yeah, just applying the pressure really at the moment, looking for a way through. There's not long to go now, of course. Because Simon Edwards just taking the proverbial white flag, I suppose, if we were in America, for the final lap of the race. We see a replay of Guy Robertson, unfortunately, going out the back of this group because of that spin that he had, and he's dropped down to 20th. But here's the man at the moment, 3 seconds up on McCutcheon. He's not really had much to do other than that qualifying lap, of course, that gave him pole position, execute the start procedure properly, and then he's just been tasked with driving away from the rest of the field, which he's done very, very successfully over the 18 laps here today, just making a few inroads to McCutcheon's championship lead after a poor Road America by all accounts.
I'd tell you what, this would have given him a little bit of a confidence boost, I am sure. And the confidence boost is certainly needed, as you mentioned. Not the best round last week at Road America, something that he won't be forgetting soon, but this may, I'm sure, would have made up for it at least a little bit. Simon Evans goes through, and there's 1 more chicane to go. And there we go, last corner, and then we have Simon Evans round number 3 win here for the Radical Race Series here at Zolder. What a dominating drive. Not necessarily the domination that we would have seen, we may have seen in the past, but certainly a dominating drive from Simon Edwards. One that he'll be very, very happy with. As a confidence boost, that is certainly it. As I said, with John Hutchinson, the first 2 rounds absolutely drove away, and we've now seen the same thing from Simon Edwards. So very, very impressive stuff. Pole, win, and the fastest lap on the very last lap as well, having pulled 6/10 out of Hutchinson there. Very, very impressive stuff indeed. That was someone that's actually gone through. You can see Dave Kirkman's only just crossed the line now in P7, so you can see the gap between there. We've still got half the field, or at least a third of the field left to go. There was Ray Peasley actually had a bit of a moment. We're going to see a quick replay of this. Just going down into the final. So the battle that we saw, as soon as it came off to Simon Edwards, pretty much this happened almost immediately. Just again, a bit too early on throttle. And that is, unfortunately, a very, very big... Tim Adcock's just had a spin as well. Tim Adcock's just had 1 spin. That may drop in. Pat Seaborn may decide that he wants to go and look through. That's close. But I think Pat Seaborn's managed to get a position. He has. P19 has been gifted to Seaborn with that final spin from Tim Adcock. That will certainly be annoying him. Is he going to try and get it back, though? No, he can't quite get it. Runs not enough. Wow.
I think Seaborn actually had his own problem earlier on in that final lap as well. I saw somebody off at turn turn 4, I think. The
Oh, yeah,
first.
it was.
Yeah, here he is. He's gone for a spin out of that chicane. So many issues for these final laps. We said obviously earlier at the start of the show that it was going to be a difficult day for everybody. It's a difficult circuit, particularly in these cars, to go quickly around here, and it did prove to be. There were a lot of spins and quite a few incidents out here as well. It's a difficult circuit to race on. And when you do make it so difficult to overtake one another, this is the kind of thing that can happen.
Certainly so. Very, very true indeed. Here are your finishing results for round number 3. We do have Simon Edwards, John Hutchison and Martin Booker are your top 3. Graham Brown, P4. Austin Greterex, a fantastic recovery up to P5. So starting in P10, making up position in P5. Very, very impressive indeed. Paul Crabb takes P6. Dave Kirkman 7th. Paul Clark in 8th. Graham Brown 9th. Colin Wynn rounding out the top 10. Dave Roderston, P11. Dom Langweb in 12th. Michael LeMay 13th. Phil Jocelyn in P14. Then Darrell Taylor taking P15. Ray Peasley 16th, Dave Dowson 17th, and then Guy Robertson P18. Pat Siebel 19th with Tim Adcock takes P20. Sergio Cruz, that would be Sergio Martinez de la Cruz in P21. P22 is Richard Brown finishing a lap down. Then we have Kevin Budgeon and Mike Busson finishing 5 laps down and 7 laps down respectively. Certainly an interesting race to say the least. We're going to wait a couple of moments to see if we'll have anyone in the commentary box to be able to have a chat. I'm hoping we will, and then myself and Ewan will be having a little bit of a conversation. We are going to take a quick 30-second break. We'll be back in a few moments' time, so make sure you stick around. Don't go anywhere. Be back in a sec.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online race game. Going to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing. All from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iracing.com.
And welcome everyone. We are back here for the post-race interviews for round number 3 here. We're going to have a chat with a couple of drivers in a few moments' time. I believe we do have a couple of drivers waiting for us to have a chat with. And I'll tell you what, let's have a chat with both. Let's bring in both Martin Booker and Simon Edwards, both at the same time. Let's have a chat with everyone all at once. Why not? Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you very much for jumping in the comment box with us. I'd like to first off start with Simon. Simon, well done. Congratulations on the first win of the season. How did that go for you? How did that... I mean, to be fair, that seemed to play out pretty... Couldn't have been better, really.
No, I love this track. It's probably not the best track for racing on, but I love hot lapping around this track and bumping through the chicanes and getting right up against the sausage curbs and all that. That's my cup of tea, if you like. Just a bit of hot lapping and seeing if I can get anybody to match me.
And I mean, well, it certainly sees, as you say, you can definitely tell that you like this circuit. You know, pole position and the win and the fastest lap by a couple of tenths of a second. I mean, you know, taking some chunk out of John Hutchison in the championship standings. I mean, again, moving forward to next week, that must have given you some a bit of a confidence boost after Road America. Yeah,
definitely. Obviously, I've not moved very much because John was right behind me. But other than that, I did sort of get a bit bored at the end, and I thought I'll put a fastest lap in on the last lap. Next week. I don't know what next week is. Anybody know what next week is? I forgot to look.
Next week, actually, it's a very, very good question. You put me on the spot as well now, Simon. I'm not actually, I'm not 100% sure myself, if I'm honest. I'll have to actually, I'll quickly, we'll see if we can get that information for everyone in a second. I just want to quickly move on to P2. We do have John Hudson that's joined us in the comms booth as well. John, again, we started in P3, obviously then made up to P2. I mean, overall, again, I remember you mentioned last week, there's certainly, a track you weren't 100% sure about. I mean, overall, still a very, very good result.
Yeah, I'm happy with second. Couldn't get a setup at all tonight, so just ran the racing setup. But happy with P2.
And then going forward, again, the move, well, obviously, Martin did a very, very good job of defending for a good first, that first half of the race. Was that something, again, that you were anticipating that there was going to be some difficulty overtaking here?
But I knew I didn't have the pace to pass him, so I was just playing the patient game, waiting for a mistake, and he run a little wide in turn 3, I think it was, so I just took the chance up the inside and thanked him for not fighting too much. But I knew I wouldn't catch Simon, just a case of keep on the track and keep setting. And we're at Detroit next week.
Detroit, there we go, that's it, Detroit, that's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a very interesting one. No, really weird, again, damage limitation there, I think, first 2 rounds, obviously very, very good performances there from yourself, John, and a damage limitation round, considering you didn't have a setup with you. Certainly a result I think you'll be more than happy with.
Yeah, definitely. We've been practicing the GT3 cars this week for Norskleifa, 24-hour next weekend. So kind of gone from that car to this is a bit of a culture shock.
It's a bit of a different one, yes. That's a bit of a, as you say, a bit of a culture shock there. But no, really, really well done. Again, fantastic result again. And then moving on, Martin. P3 again. Obviously started in second. Move that John made halfway through the race. I mean, still P3 though. Another very, very good result for you.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. I was off the pace in practice for about half of it, and then suddenly found a bit of pace. I've not done any practice all week really, and stuck it on P2, and sort of held my own pretty well. I think Simon sort of eased away once his tyres had come up, and one little mistake and John was past. But yeah, other than that, I'm happy.
When you say obviously, the pace wasn't initially there for. Could you pin it down to anything of the fact that you just gained some time, or did it seem literally just like it was the flick of a light switch?
I always fall into the same trap. I try and sort of hot that right from the off, and then get frustrated, spin out and mess up the chicane and all the rest of it. So I sort of sit myself down, chill out for a few minutes, and then set out, put race fuel in, and just toot around and gradually increase my pace. And that's the way I sort of tend to find pace. But I just wish I'd learned to do that right from the start, rather than sort of hot lapping.
I mean, to be fair, I know what you mean. I sometimes slip into that thing myself, and I sort of try and overdrive the car, as it were. It's still,
sure.
Again, very, very good result, and something that it's very, very good that you're happy with. How do you find it? What do you think about Detroit?
Love Belle Isle. That said, I didn't think I'd like this place in the Radical, but I loved it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Belle Isle. It will just be a race of attrition. I think you can keep it out of the wall. Absolutely.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very, very much again. We both, myself and you, and both look forward to seeing you all really look forward to seeing you all when you come back for next week. I'm hoping everyone's going to be here for next week.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, we should. Myself and John will probably still be sleep deprived from the practice for the Norskleifa and the race and everything. We're both in the same team.
Right, gotcha. I see.
Then?
I see. I forgot it was Nürburgring next weekend. If I'm honest, I need to. I don't even know if I'm racing in it. In all honesty, I better get some practices if I can get a team together. But no, chaps, really, really good fun. Again, always a pleasure to catch up with you, and we look forward to seeing you next week as well.
Thanks,
Daniel.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Okay, guys. Well, there we are, Ewan. Round 3 done and dusted. Looking forward to round 4 for Detroit.
Yeah, it should be another interesting race. We mentioned that this track was going to be difficult to overtake on. That's going to take it to a whole new level, isn't it, really? At Belle Isle. Street circuit, of course. Lots of 90-degree corner. Very, very bumpy. which is not going to be a particularly great thing for these radicals. I've got to be honest, they're not particularly great at soaking up the bumps, but you really do have to around that very technical circuit. There's once again, not likely going to be too much actual good overtaking, although we saw some nice moves here today. We're not going to see too many at Belleau either, really. It's going to be down to mistakes, keeping it out of the wall, keeping yourself out of trouble, and just getting to the end of that one. It's a complete nightmare for those who are trying to win this championship, really, because it's an absolute banana skin for everyone.
It is very, very true indeed. Very, very true indeed. Well, we will have to unfortunately wait until next week to see what happens there. Join us the same time next week for round number 4 of the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series from Detroit. We very much look forward to seeing you there. As always, if you haven't already, please make sure you do subscribe to the Absolute Sim Racing channel. We're so very close to that 600 sub mark. It'd be great if you could subscribe if you have not already. But until next time, everyone, as always, take care, stay safe.